I want to welcome you to our HEM webinar on the future of pay-per-click advertising in education marketing. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time. My name is Scott Cross. I am the regional manager over North America for HEM in sales and consulting for our schools for education. And I want to tell you a little bit about HEM as we get started here. I guess we lost my camera, but I'm sure it will pop right back in. It's the least of our worries, really. HEM is an education marketing, digital marketing agency. So we do online marketing exclusively for schools, only in the education sector. And we've been doing that for 15 years now. We're in our 16th year. You can see the services we offer there on the left. And we cover schools around the world, schools of all types. So they're language schools, vocational schools, undergraduate and graduate colleges and universities, and around the world. So it really, any type of school, it's the focus is in that education model of digital marketing, of trying to attract, engage, and enroll a prospective student, and to influence those prospective students or their families or other decision makers in the process to get them involved in your school. We know that's a very different type of online marketing. So we think it's super wonderful to really focus on that, and all our teams focus on that completely. The presentation you're going to see before you is a result of this research and knowledge of our team. So we're very excited for that, to share that with you. A couple of notes about the webinar itself. We will be recording this webinar. Here's the agenda of what we're going to cover. And you'll receive in your email this recording, so a video of the webinar, as well as the deck that we're walking through. So you'll have that for you, and you come in your email probably by Monday, maybe even as soon as tomorrow. So you've got that ready to go. Today's agenda, we're going to be, I'm going to do one more last shot on the webcam here. There we go. Just takes a minute. Today, it's all about pay-per-click advertising in education. And we're going to talk about the trends. We're going to talk about Google versus Meta. We're going to talk about targeting and optimizing. And then we're going to talk about using analytics to measure your success. So that's where we're headed. And the first part is really just kind of how they're built, how they're used. So I'm going to kind of rip through this earlier part sooner and quicker. And then we'll spend a little more time later as we go forward into the deep stuff. I want to spend a little more time in the later half of the webinar. Your mics are muted, by the way, just so that I can kind of get through the material. And what I'd like you to do, and I'll encourage you to ask questions in the Q&A button on your toolbar there in Zoom, so that you can tell us, basically ask any questions along the way, and I'll answer your questions later in the day, at the end of the webinar. So very commonly, right? What is PPC advertising? What is pay-per-click advertising? And it's basically ads where you, the school, pay a fee each time your ad is clicked. You can see examples of them on the right. They typically, they'll show up in a search function. So as the results of a search above the organic options. And pay-per-click also lives in social media ads. So they would show up as more of a display ad. And of course, the reasoning for choosing social is that it allows you targeting of demographics, interests, online behaviors. It's important to note that you can only engage the pay-per-click function in social if you switch to manual billing and choose PPC. So how does this all work? The first three steps are in your setup and creation of everything. And that is setting up an ad account in Google Ads or Meta Ads Manager, researching the keywords you want to bid on based on the programs you want to advertise for student recruitment, and creating the ad itself. Then you launch the ad. The user will see the ad as the results of their search, just as we saw. And then they would click on your ad if it tickles their fancy, if it really resonates with them in terms of what they're looking for, and what, does your ad match up with that? What do you get from this? Well, what PPC provides you at the key is targeted reach, measurable results, because it's quite a finite effort here that the ad is being placed. Someone is clicking, therefore you're paying because they clicked on your ad. That's measurable. Where you send them, we're going to talk about the best way to make that measurable as well. There is brand awareness involved because your ad is appearing in the result of the searches, whether they click on it or not. They may have seen your school name. And clearly there's competitiveness because and it's important to do a bit of research, but it's more than likely that your competitive schools, your competitors, are doing pay-per-click ads as well. So it's important to be in that competition, if you will. If you're familiar with HEM and our webinars, you know that we poll the audience because we want to hear from you. We want to kind of know where you stand. It also helps to share among yourselves kind of an idea of, what does everyone else think? So our first question is, what is your primary goal for using pay-per-click in education marketing? This is anonymous, so please vote all you can. It's a bit of a trick question because what we're also asking is, what is the primary purpose of PPC advertising? So we've only got a couple of votes in. Please do vote. It's anonymous, so you're not going to be identified, and it helps us to understand, again, where you're coming from, what you're thinking. And the votes are in. So I'm going to share the results. And what we see is that a majority of you are going for increasing student enrollment or lead generation, essentially. Some of you going for building awareness, promoting specific programs. It's very good at promoting specific programs. So that's kind of a mask of A, right? It's exactly what you're doing when you're advertising for A. So thank you for sharing that and for engaging there. We appreciate that. We want to go into now, what are the core trends of PPC? What's happening now in PPC that it's really important that we be aware of and that we're engaging in if we're not already? We begin simply with kind of the history and evolution of PPC, and that is on the left. It's interesting. It was initially a supplementary marketing tool. It was initially something we did in addition to other ads. And it was pretty focused on very broad keywords. Over time, there was a shift from the generic campaigns to things that were more program specific, to ads that were geographically targeted and with very tailored messaging. And then we're in kind of a very targeted place today where it is what we find in our work with schools, the most effective tool in online marketing for quality lead generation, also known as student recruitment. So when folks say that's their number one objective, this is the first place we turn. And we're going to talk about exactly why as we move along. Another emerging trend here in PPC is the rise of automation in management. So whether it's Google or Meta, each of the platforms has a lot of automation at your fingertips that you can enact, you can engage and say, I'll take my hands off and I'll let you drive Google, I'll let you drive Meta. This can be helpful. We have added the caution, watch your step sign here because we have also found that if you let go of the wheel completely, Google will serve Google first and your school second. Meta the same. Really, any platform is going to serve themselves. They're going to create campaigns that jack up the metrics in terms of maybe clicks, maybe conversions, just so that you'll get more excited and maybe put more money into it. They may not necessarily be quality conversions. So it's very important that, and we feel this way about AI altogether, is that schools keep a hand on the marketing you're doing and the end result, So keep a close eye in terms of automatic options, automated options, because it's most important that you pay attention to who's clicking and converting to make sure that they are in fact as qualified as possible. Another huge trend is the use of mobile, right? So most of the ads are being seen on mobile devices, and that's leading to two things. First of all, you have the choice when you place the ad, do you want it seen on mobile and desktop or just one or the other? So we recommend you choose at least mobile as one of your options, perhaps your sole option. Especially with the younger, likely you're targeting a younger audience. The younger they are, the more mobile they are. And the higher percent of the work they do is on mobile, or the time they spend is on mobile. The other trend that this has fed is in voice search, right? So with mobile, they're engaging in voice search, and that is making long tail keywords much more active and used in our PPC advertising. Whereas it used to be a keyword or a two-word keyword phrase, it's currently now more of a sentence or a question that someone is speaking into their phone. So that's really engaged the long tail keyword more than ever. Another major trend, which is no surprise, but is video in ads. So in many cases, if your ads aren't video, people aren't paying attention, aren't seeing them. So look to engage in YouTube, YouTube Shorts, for example, and other places, and pre-video clips. These are really effective ways to engage with folks. That's not to say that the text ad in a Google search is gone and dead. So while video is a massive trend and is a great and a high expectation, the search ad itself, that kind of core search ad in Google search, still remains super effective. Okay, time for poll number 2. Let me see if I can get back to, there we go. That's how we do it. What is your biggest challenge with PPC advertising in education marketing? Is it the budget and the management of budget? Is it the targeting of audience and keywords? Is it optimizing ad content, measuring ROI, or staying updated with trends? So you have the poll before you. This is going to be different across the board. So please be honest. And again, this is anonymous. But this is going to be interesting because it's going to be different for everybody. During the polls, it's also a good time to remind you we're recording this webinar. You'll get the recording and the deck in your email Friday or Monday. All right, so let's see how y'all voted there. Yeah, targeting audience and keywords is number 1, and then I see optimizing ad content is number 2. That makes a whole lot of sense. Again, ROI is tough. We're going to touch on each of these pieces as we get going, but targeting audiences and keywords, I think part of the challenge there is the fact that it's ongoing, right? So that you could touch on that every day and get a bit lost in it if you wanted to. But I absolutely understand your place there. So thank you for voting. Appreciate that. It's always helpful, as I said, to kind of understand where you're at. Not that these are the only 2 platforms out there, but we want to give you a bit of a Google versus Meta overview. And really, you can kind of place Meta in the social ads or social platform category, because what's true with Meta is also true across a lot of other social platforms. And it helps, first of all, just to kind of talk about what are the big differences here. In Google, your ads appear in Google search engine results page or SERP pages. They're also available to be on websites in the Google Display Network and YouTube and Google-owned properties. These are best for capturing intent-driven traffic. It's why they're tops in quality lead generation. It's because when you engage a Google search ad, you're putting your ad in front of someone who is actively searching for a program like yours. And that's the best mindset and intent you can get in an online audience. That's why they're online right now. You're not putting an ad in front of them because they fit the bill, because they fit the demographics. You're putting an ad in front of them because they asked that question and you have that answer. So that's really why it lines up so much. Now, Meta, you can't beat it for targeting prospects based on their interests, right? Because you're going across these massive social platforms with massive audiences, and you're really kind of saying, hey, you're interested in this, aren't you? We see that you are. And you're going to trip a trigger and get them engaging. So that's, again, it's the power of the social platform. Your targeting options in Google are going to be primarily keyword based. And as we said, more long tail keywords today than before. It allows you to get a little bit into audience targeting in terms of affinity audiences for the display ads. But the strength really still relies in capturing someone who's actively searching for you. In Meta, the targeting really allows you to dive kind of deep into demographics, their interests, their behaviors of pages they visit or pages they follow. You can create lookalike audiences for retargeting. So you have a whole lot of options here that really allow you, again, to reach down and use that targeting as a strength. The ad formats, Google's really expanded into not just those text ads, but the image ads, video ads, shopping ads, responsive ads. So responsive really are also, they're not just search and display, they're basically putting new words in your ad that Google sees were used actually in the search. So as long as you have it as an option of these are words that can be used in my ad, they'll basically, Google will create an ad on the fly in the moment based on the words that were used in typing the search. So that's super relevant to the user, to the person searching. And in terms of formats, you know, Facebook offers a great variety of formats in terms of video, image, carousel, slideshows. So you have a lot of options here, and which allows you to do a lot of testing. You know, what's most engaging for your audience. I'm not going to stand up and say for an education marketing campaign, any one of these formats in Meta is the bomb, because again, each of your audiences are going to be a little unique, a little different than the other. And that's going to be something that you're going to want to definitely test out yourself. And the cost structure, and this is from Meta Ads, the chart that you're seeing. The cost structure is really basically with a cost per click or pay per click model. You're looking at key metrics being cost per conversion and cost per lead or cost per acquisition. You can see in the blue boxes across the top here, I've highlighted kind of the core metrics we're going to be looking at when we look at ad campaigns and how they're performing. It's cost per result, cost per click, click-through rate, and click-through rate all. So looking at the different metrics and kind of understanding how they play into the campaign's engagement prowess or performance, it's really important to understand, and it comes down to cost in many cases, and that also that click-through rate or conversion rate. It gets into really conversion rate as you get into Google. Okay, so we've kind of talked about how everything is built and situated. Now let's get to work as we look at the strategies for targeting and optimizing. So we're going to break these down quite a bit. Let's begin with identifying high intent keywords to attract potential students. So you see the keyword search has shown us an ad in this case. We find that the best PPC ad campaigns for student lead generation, student recruitment, are program specific. So it's super important that your programs, that your ads are program specific to your MBA, degree in nursing, data science. So literally call it out by program. Also engage action-oriented keywords, apply to, enroll in, request info for, because that kind of gets them in the action mode. As you begin to seek keywords and research keywords, not just in the action mode, but also just, what are some valuable, relevant keyword combinations for data science? go to Google Ads Keyword Planner or SEO AI. We also use SEMrush. You might use Moz. Those are great tools to help you ideate and brainstorm other relevant keyword groupings. I mean, Google Ads is actually going to show you how those, so once you've ideated maybe in SEMrush or SEO AI, once you've got a list, you can drop them into Google Ads Keyword Planner, and it'll show you what's the current bidding on those words and which ones are most effective in that regard. So we talked about leveraging long tail keywords for more precise targeting. It's important to understand that with long tail keywords, you're likely to get a lower search volume. So you're going to reach fewer people, but you are going to likely get a higher conversion rate and possibly a more qualified conversion in that case. We find this particularly valuable in marketing for schools because they attract those more qualified leads. So in a really brief example, right? Instead of just MBA programs, talk about affordable online MBA programs for working professionals. So that's the way you're going to want to stretch it out. That's more likely the voice search, someone speaking into their phone. When we're talking about long tail keywords, you want to focus on specific queries, much like that example we showed. Here's an example: best part-time law degree in California. So get nice and specific and think about what you offer and who your audience is and what they're looking for. Consider to place them in the form of a question. How do I get a scholarship as an international student? So you've got to, you don't have to make it a full-on sentence, but really kind of think of how they're going to be phrasing that as a question. And consider your geographic modifiers. So engineering colleges in New York State versus New York City, for example. So think of your regional or local geographic terms that are going to be likely used in a search. Those are helpful as well. Not just your geographic targeting, but to use them in the keywords as well. In terms of writing ad copy that aligns with student search intent, think of your headline, your subhead, and your blurb, if you will, basically that bit of line of copy that's in your ad. You want an engaging headline, fully online master's degree. In that blurb, you want to begin with, there's a problem to solve, and we can solve the problem for you. So you understand to yourself that, you know, some of your audience may think the GMAT or the GRE is required for this, but you're going to tell them right off the bat, it's not. Problem solved. So, and then make sure that in the rest of your text, you're just communicating a clear value proposition. So, you know, stand out in today's marketplace, a successful career. These are exactly the kinds of things that get people thinking, let me learn more. So now we go from the ad to the landing page. The ad is on the left, the landing page is on the right. And we're going to define this as what we call a dedicated landing page. By dedicated, we mean this landing page is built only to take the audience from your ads. It's not, there's no way else that someone can click and get to it. It's not in your sitemap of your website. It's not in the menu, or you can't browse to it. The only way it'll accept traffic, user traffic, is if they click on the ad to get to it. So it's dedicated in that way. It's also program specific based on the program that's identified in the ad itself. In the landing page itself, there are no hyperlinks. There's no menu bar. There is no, it's a single page, and there's no place for them to browse away from the page. You see a bit of a menu bar across the middle: overview, modules, entry requirements. That simply is going to shuttle them down in an anchor link down a little further in the page to give them the information on that. They all remain on the same one page. And the one action that this ad user who clicked on your ad can take, the one action that's available, is to request more info, which is going to be fill out the form, first name, last name, email, and phone. And that is the definition of a conversion. You've received the contact information. So that's what we're talking about when we use the term conversion in metrics. And your dedicated landing page can impact the quality score of your ad. You may or may not realize that both Meta and Google basically assign a quality score to your ad. And the more you get clicks, and they track if you get conversions as well, people filling out the form on your landing page. The more often that happens with a better ratio based on your audience, the higher your quality score, which means you're going to receive better placement in bidding. You may be bidding against equal bids on keyword phrases with another ad, but if your quality score is higher than theirs, perhaps your ad's been around a little longer and has performed a little better, you're going to win that bid and they are not. So keep in mind, the way your landing page can stand out is the relevance of the content. You want to have that ad content speak, of course, to the program and also specifically to the user. So the relevant landing page can impact not only the quality score, but I really feel that it is going to engage the user more. So while you're matching the landing page to the ad, I think the core point I want to make is down below in the bottom left. You don't have to say it all. You don't have to include every detail about your program on the landing page. In fact, it's better really just to get them even more interested and want them learning more. That's why you want them to fill out the form to learn more about this. So you want to make sure it's simple so that it's going to load fast. You want to make sure it's optimized for mobile. It's crazy important, especially as we've understood more folks in your user group are going to be on mobile devices. When it comes to A/B testing, that's done, once you get your kind of ad up and running. I know it gets very interesting to want to do this. You want to be careful. You want to be purposeful in A/B testing because it takes a little more money to be able to fund 2 campaigns versus just 1. You want to, and basically A/B testing is going to be changing a variable in the ad itself. So in this case, the major variable is the line in red: join a top-ranked program in cutting-edge curriculum versus stay ahead with tech and a program designed for working professionals. So what we recommend is when you A/B test, you change only one variable at a time. So that's the A/B test we're seeing in front of us. And you see which one performs better over a period of time. And then you can go with the better performing one. And then if you want to do it again, you can change a second factor or variable in the ad to A/B test even further. Again, you can get really lost in testing and not necessarily be able to hit the gas, so to speak, with your ad campaign because you're too busy doing testing to tweak all the little things. But we understand a lot of you find this really meaningful and interesting, and this is how we recommend you approach A/B testing when you do. You want to utilize demographic targeting for sure, because you're going to have specific segments of demographics that you're going to want to target, and think of the different decision makers in your audience. It could be the students themselves, or it could be the parents of the students. Do you have a working professional? Do you have an international student? Think about who they are, where they're at, age and mindset. And this is where you want to make sure that you're utilizing your demographic targeting as well as you can. You might have a bit of a crossover in your audiences, which is fine too, but it's just important that you keep that in mind. In geo-targeting to attract either local or perhaps international audiences, with locals, you're probably just going to work within a radius of your campus, highlighting convenience and community aspects, knowing that you're the one that's just nearby. We've heard a lot of questions about geofencing, and we have not found geofencing to be effective in education marketing in this way. It's not as if people are nearby and thinking, oh, I forgot about that school, I should look them up. That really has not shown to be something that's driving clicks on ads or enrollments for sure. So what we do find useful is that geo-targeting radius. And then in international targeting, you want to think of the few countries or regions that you want to target. Within those countries, we recommend you choose a couple of cities that would match the the type of demographic of a student who would be able to attend, get the visa, be able to travel, et cetera, et cetera. You want to make sure that you're appealing in the ad and in the landing page as well to their culture and to their unique needs. So keep that in mind in terms of your geo-targeting. And in remarketing tactics, basically what you're looking here to do is you're going to send an ad to someone who might have clicked on your initial ad but not filled out the form on the landing page. So we're going to put an ad back in front of them because we now have their unique ID in terms of their online presence. So we can put an ad, perhaps if they looked at us via Google search, we'll put a remarketing ad in their Facebook feed, or vice versa. So what we recommend you do is that cross-platform remarketing. So if they saw you on platform A, you might reach out to them on platform B. This is just another way of kind of showing how relevant you are, visible you are. And it's super helpful because we find that these are effective ways to re-engage folks. You don't know why they kind of backed out of that initial engagement, and it could have been just that they got busy. So this helps remind them, hey, this was interesting. All right, so let's get into the last bit here in terms of using analytics to measure your success. We begin with the key metrics that we recommend you keep in mind, and those are click-through rate, cost per click, cost per acquisition, and conversion rate. So the click-through rate, it indicates that your ad is relevant, right? People are seeing your ad and choosing to click on it, so it's striking with them, and that's a great metric for that reason. The cost per click allows you to get more clicks within your budget. So you want to look at that. That has to do with keyword bidding. So you want to look at which keywords cost more for the bidding and cost less, and which are getting you, again, you're going to kind of drill down into which are getting you quality leads and quality potential students. And that's where you also get into cost per acquisition. This is also cost per lead, CPA and CPL. It means how many conversions, how many leads are you getting for that spend? And that's really kind of an ultimate metric, as is conversion rate. You want that conversion rate to be above 3% in terms of getting folks to fill out the form on your landing page. To set up the goals and tracking conversions, you want to initiate conversion tracking with Google Tag Manager. It helps you to determine which keywords, ads, and ad groups and campaigns are most effective in driving valuable student interactions. It's going to help you understand the cost associated with each conversion so that you can assess the effectiveness of your ad spend. And it's going to allow the tracking to see how you might be able to begin the research process in one device. So you want to access one device, just mobiles, or do you want to go desktop? So this conversion tracking is a deeper element that you really want to engage. And in setting this up, you want to define your conversion goals. You want to start by defining what constitutes a conversion for your institution. In our case, typically we define a conversion as someone who fills out the form on that landing page. You want to set up the conversion tracking in Google Ads. You want to link it with your Google Analytics as well, so you can measure deeper metrics. This is what it looks like to set up your conversion tracking in Meta on the left. This is where you want to go in your conversion tracking setup. You're defining your leads as those who fill out instant forms, Messenger, WhatsApp conversions, and calls. And in Google, this is what it looks like in terms of defining, is it important? You want to track that they go to your website or that they go to your app. You can define the action that you want to track as a conversion. And then you can talk about tracking micro conversions, time spent on the landing page, video views, clicks on important links, so you can know if they came from your ad, what did they do from there? And this really helps you, again, to understand, as you have time to really drill down into this, you can understand what is driving the actual conversions themselves. So as we get into putting this to work in Google Ads and Analytics and using third-party platforms like SEMrush and HubSpot, We're looking at the insights that we get from these micro conversions from these data points that tell us which aspects of the ad are most likely to drive to a conversion. And in Google, you want to talk about, the metrics that you want to measure for campaign performance. It's that click-through rate, that cost per click, that conversion rate, and cost per lead, those conversions. And then in Meta Ads Manager, it's looking to understand audience behavior, and you want to monitor the metrics like reach, engagement, and of course, click-through rate and conversions. Think about behavior after the click. Consider in Google Analytics, when they got to your landing page, did they pop right out altogether, or did they stick around for a while, even if they didn't fill out the form? In Google Analytics and Google Ads, you want to create custom reports the most you can to understand those conversion rates by device type. Maybe that'll help you optimize mobile campaigns. And in Meta, we're analyzing metrics like engagement rate, video watch time, so that you can better understand and refine the targeting. That might even help you to get into audience segments like age or geography. So it's the data within, and we could have shown you data fields and data charts and dashboards, but we really feel that this information of how you want to consider the data is more useful in terms of the numbers you're going to see, because your numbers are going to be different from our numbers. So I'm just going to kind of let the key takeaways play out here as we wrap up, and I open up to take on questions if you have them. So to reiterate, I'm open and available to answer your questions. So there is a Q&A element in your Zoom platform, and I'd love to answer your questions at this time as we go through key takeaways. And the other point I want to make is that we offer a free paid ads consultation. So if you want to talk more specifically, and in some of the questions I might refer to this, it's better to do a question and answer offline, so that we can chat more directly with you and talk about your specific circumstance. And in this case, you're probably more going to talk with Eric than with me, because he's there with you in the UK and Europe. All right, so let's start with some of the questions here. Could you please expand more on how to make landing page as relevant as possible? Do you need to use very similar or the same copy as your ad? What tactics are there to improve the score? So to make your landing page as relevant as possible, it does help to kind of match some words in the ad, but keep in mind the ad is going to be quite simple in terms of its wording, and the ad is often kind of forced into only including those long tail keywords or the keywords that are going to generate the ad to be visible. And really what you want to do on the landing page is expand more, right? Now we've got you interested. Let me tell you about this amazing program we have. By making, the things you can do to make that landing page most relevant are really making it easily digestible. So I don't want to see a paragraph about how amazing your program is. Instead, bullet points or a call out box. Make it easy to digest, reading through this, reading that, this aspect. And it's important that you talk about the primary unique value propositions of your program and of your school for that matter. Again, you don't need to tell them everything about the program in the landing page. You just want to get them more interested and actually leave a few things perhaps unanswered. That's okay too. But the biggest goal there is to have them fill out the form and connect with you to learn more. The photos or the images, you can even place a video on the landing page itself, just so that it doesn't link away to YouTube and go away. Just have it embedded in the page. Those are super helpful and relevant. It's a great way to maximize, because we know videos are super engaging, right? And so people are more likely going to look through that video, and perhaps that's a testimonial. That's a great place for a testimonial or a video from one of your instructors. So a bunch of ideas there in how to make the landing page more relevant. And really, in terms of improving the quality score, the more people who fill out the form, that's going to improve your quality score. So that's your ultimate goal. So we got a question. What do you think about consent mode V2? Is it compulsory to pay a third party, I think you're saying cookie tool? So what I'd recommend is we talk, Francesca, more directly on that, and maybe we can get you with Eric. Basically, in terms of what we recommend in terms of targeting your ads is and bringing them to you. We want you to be working as direct with the user as possible. So we don't want any third parties truly involved as best we can. So, but again, that gets very case by case specific. So let's talk more about that offline. Comment on the most effective tactic to get someone to leave their details. I found that getting prospects to sign up to an event is much more effective than simply asking them to sign up for more info. That's another great question. And it's another great tactic in terms of lead generation, to host an event and requiring someone to sign up for an event, rather than just having fill out a form for request more info. The trouble there, or the challenge, is to continually host events. Many schools we talk with have these on their calendars once a month. That's just a regular for them. They can be an online event, kind of an info session, and we find those are very effective. So as you say, Sam, hosting an event and offering kind of a deeper conversation is super effective. You may do a little, if you will, A/B testing on this as well. You may do info sessions where you or a member of your staff is talking online with a group of many people. And that may be attractive because that doesn't require the user, the person who's interested, doesn't require them to have a one-on-one where they're going to be asked questions and kind of put on the spot. They can be in a crowd and answer or not, just kind of keep quiet and learn more. Or the one-on-one follow-up, you may want to do one, alternate in 1 month and the other month, a group session and one-on-one sessions. It depends on what you're able to learn and glean from that. But hosting sessions is a useful tool. And it also, makes them very social media friendly. So they can be used as for example, the form on your landing page, attend this info session, it comes up next week. When you put that in social media as well, though, that can be an event in your social platform, and that makes that event shareable. So as soon as someone signs up for it, they may be getting suggested, do you want to share this with anybody? And they may know some friends that they want to invite along. So the social platforms are going to help really spread the word there as well. Again, it really just adds on a different layer, an additional layer of how you're going to follow up. And there's important aspects of, do we have the bandwidth to do that follow-up? Okay, great questions. Francesca, reach out to us so we can talk more directly. And then let's get together next month. We have these webinars each month, and we're really glad you took the time to connect with us today. Appreciate you taking that time out, and we hope to see you down the line. Reach out to Eric if you have any questions. In the meantime, have a great rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.